outstanding. Some organizations have called Nevada, but not Arizona. It looks to me that both are probably going to fall in the Trump category. And if that is true, then he will end up with 312 electoral college votes. Whew, that's strong. 270 to win, and he's well over that. That's landslide territory. Any way you look at it, it was a real repudiation of what has happened over the last 4 years. There's no doubt about that. Kamala Harris gave her concession speech today. You've heard it in the news. I won't repeat it here. She also said that she would be willing to work with Trump on a peaceful transfer of power. I've been very, very pleased that, it was a pretty uneventful day. That's what I was hoping for, was an uneventful day. There's no big scandals. There's no big drama. There are no protests anywhere. There certainly have not been any kind of violence, which some people were very worried about. So I don't know. There you have it. That's where we are. We now move to transition. And in that front, I have a story here, which comes from the conservative Wall Street Journal. And it lays out some of the people who might fill out Trump's cabinet. And I know it's early, and some of these names may change, but I thought it was pretty interesting to look at this and make some decisions. And maybe give you some idea of who is in play now in the second Trump administration. White House Chief of Staff mentioned is Susan Wiles. You'll say, who is she? Under the radar for most people, she was the political strategist who helped run Trump's campaign, widely seen as the leading candidate for the highly influential role of chief of staff, typically the first major personnel choice for an incoming president. So apparently, one of the rewards of being a successful campaign manager and strategist is that you often get that as your job because you have the trust and the confidence of the incoming president. Trump has also discussed with friends and allies selecting one of his former White House aides, Brooke Rollins, for the role. However, some of the former president's advisors have been privately critical of Rollins, an ally of Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Other candidates, Russ Vought. How about former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy? And others. Other names, minor names have come up, but I think probably I would go with Susan Wiles. National Security Advisor. Apparently, he's thinking about Trump's former ambassador to Germany. Acting director of national intelligence would be Richard Grenell, perhaps, seen by people close to Trump as a top candidate for the job. Other candidates include Keith Kellogg, a retired three-star Army general and former national security advisor to Mike Pence, well thought of. There's a guy by the name of Eldridge Colby, Defense Department official, and Robert O'Brien, who served as the last of the four national security advisor in Trump's first term. Treasury Secretary, Key Square Group founder Scott Bessent, billionaire investor John Paulson mentioned. Lutnick, the transition co-chair, could also be considered for that. Here's something. Listen to this. Trump have also said, this is interesting, that former Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Jay Clayton and GOP Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty, Trump's former ambassador to Japan, were seen as contenders. I know he's high on Hagerty. Hagerty has a great relationship with him. And, anytime you pull somebody from the United States Senate, then you have to pull it from a reliably red state with a Republican governor, because then an appointment has to be made in the transition before you, to go in before you have an election to replace them. And that might that bodes well for Hagerty, since we have Bill Lee, who's awful tight with Trump as well. Hagerty and Florida Republican Senator Marco Rubio, Hagerty's been discussed as potential Secretary of States. Hagerty is Secretary of State. Wouldn't that be something? Other potential candidates. See, Marco Rubio, smart guy. I mean, boy, is that guy got brains, just oozing out all over. And he is He's thoughtful and read in, and he's since he went to Washington, he's become very adept at foreign policy. That'd be a good choice. Haggerty, I just love Haggerty. You notice we haven't heard from him in a while. Maybe we need to check in with the good senator, see if he can fill us in on what's going on. Others have been mentioned. Brian Hook, who's a State Department official. Elise Stefanik, a strong contender and defender of Trump on Capitol Hill. That might happen. Secretary of Defense, how about this? Mike Pompeo. He served as Secretary of State, received a shout-out from Trump early Wednesday morning in his victory speech in Florida, seen as a top contender to lead the Pentagon. Republican Tom Cotton and Representative John Ratcliffe have served as Trump's Director of National Intelligence, have also been put forward as potential names there. That's interesting for Secretary of Defense. Homeland Security, Tom Homan served as Acting Director of U.S. Immigration and Customs. Director of National Intelligence, man, I'm telling you, that if I were going to go to Washington, that's in any kind of capacity, that's the job I would want. Director of National Intelligence. Basically, you sit above all of the intelligence agencies, the NSA, the National Reconnaissance Office, the CIA, and the Defense Intelligence Agency. You sit above all of them. And every piece of information that they gather comes through your funnel. And you are the person who oversees it all and understands the big picture. There aren't many people who have the full picture in government, but you would be one of them. And just, I mean, all the toys you would get to play with. Pull me up a satellite, would you?
It all comes back to the toys, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I think it's. I think it'd be the greatest job in Washington. But it takes a smart person with a lot of vision and a lot of understanding of national security issues. Attorney General, interesting here. Mike Lee, Ratcliffe's name come up again. Mike Lee of Utah, Republican senator, again, very reliable Republican state, probably the most Republican of all the Republican states. And he would, you would have no problem finding a good replacement for his place in the Senate. Senator Eric Schmidt of Missouri. Again, Tom Cotton's name comes up. I think Tom Cotton would be great. I like the cut of that guy's jib. I do. I think he'd be very good. The Attorney General of both Missouri, Andrew Bailey, the Attorney General of Kansas, Chris Kobach, have been mentioned. Commerce Secretary, we're getting into some of the more, what I would call minor secretaries. Linda McMahon, co-chair of Trump's transition team, former Small Business Administration chief. Maybe Kelly Loeffler, an Atlanta businesswoman's name. Vivek. Now, Vivek, where's been Vivek's name in all of this? Vivek has made a real impression on a lot of people, and people really like him. Press secretary probably will go to Caroline Levitt, who's been the campaign spokesperson through a lot of this. White House counsel Mike Davis. Trump likes him because he's been involved in what they call Article 3 project, advocates for conservative judges. Other people to watch. Elon Musk, what's he going to do? I mean, he's supposed to be like maybe, see, if you become a member of the cabinet, you have to be confirmed by the Senate. And, look, Elon's a colorful guy. I don't know how that would go for Elon. I think it would go well, but in a Republican Senate, he could probably be pushed through. But I mean, it'd be better to have him as an advisor, somebody that's as a special, maybe special assistant to the president. You don't have to get those approved. But I like Elon Musk, and I want him involved. I really do. I mean, in government, is so it's so weighted down by the fact that they do the same things because we've always done it this way. And the thing I love about Elon is that he comes in and he looks and thinks, I don't care how you've always done it. We're going to look and see what's the best way to do it. And he's not afraid to break some eggs to make an omelet. And he would have the unbridled support of the president. And the president has a great deal of say over how the different agencies operate. So he could come in and remake government in a big way, and it might be really interesting. I love people who think outside the box, and that's Elon Musk all day long. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. mentioned as well as someone who might have a role in government. It may again be in an advisory role. Just don't know. Also look for Stephen Miller, the architect of his immigration agenda, to land a senior role. So a lot of interesting people there. Some names you know, some names you may not know, but those are the ones that are being discussed in the early going, according to the Wall Street Journal. 20 minutes now past the hour. Have you heard about the item that Costco keeps running out of? They're gold bars. They just can't keep them in stock. Gold's breathtaking surge this year to repeated record highs has not stopped bullion from flying off the shelves. Gold is not only one of the best performing commodities, but also it means that it's outperforming other assets like stocks and bonds. The surge has been driven by its appeal as a safe haven asset in times of geopolitical and economic uncertainty. You know where you get gold when Costco doesn't have any? Well, they've always got it on hand. My friends at Nashville Gold and Coin, that's what they do. They sell the same high-quality products that Costco and other national online retailers sell. They will not overcharge you, and as a bonus, you'll be supporting a locally owned business. Kyle and Hannah, they're true experts, and you can count on top-of-the-line, personalized customer service. Nashville Gold and Coin is the best place to buy gold in Middle Tennessee. You'll be dealing with experts instead of some random clerk with zero knowledge about precious metals. I mean, why take a risk? Make an appointment today with Nashville Gold and Coin. Go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
All righty, 25 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. It was fun last night at the event out there at Wilson County Fairgrounds. I will tell you, we had, the place was packed at one point. It was really, and it's a big old building. It's a huge old facility out there, and we had a lot of people. And then I understand people come in. They've come in from work, maybe they're hanging around, but then eventually they got to get home because they got to go to work the next day, and it was getting later and later. But the VIP people, they hung in there, baby.
Yeah.
They were
Nice.
there until the bitter end at midnight when we called it quits.
Getting every penny of that VIP money, huh?
They got their money's worth of that and thing. And I tell you, it was a great. Everybody comes by. Can I just say how wonderful it is to have the support of people in this community who love what we do. And every time we open up an event like that, no matter where it is, I can't think of any one of them that has been sort of a dud. I mean, people show up in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think that, well, every once in a while, it wouldn't work out for people. But, they really have worked out, and they've really been good events. And last night was a perfect event. We had a lot of people, to thank. Our promotions department, our engineering department, they really went to the nth degree to make it work right. We had a lot of people setting up booths, and the food was there. It was huge. It was a huge event. And just every time, I had to wear the daddy pants again.
Yeah, I saw
You know
that.
how that is,
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has to stay there and put on the daddy pants and run the show. And soon, I'm telling you, as soon as the commercial breaks would hit, the other social butterflies on our team were out there mixing and mingling with the jingling beat and just having a great time.
Like herding cats.
And I'm left over going, please return to the stage. Please return to the stage. Talent to the stage.
And they're not listening.
They're not listening.
No.
They're not listening. But they'd hear the music and they would eventually wander back. And, I basically didn't get a chance to mix and mingle all that much. Such is the heavy burden of leadership. That's all I can say.
Mm-hmm.
So, I told him sometimes, I got to go run to the bathrooms. I've been sitting here for hours. You got to let me go take a break. So they they let me go and run to the bathroom one time. And, I got to talk to people and shake their hands and talk to people. And everybody is always so gracious and always so warm and so welcoming. And time and time again, we really love what you do. It means so much to know that, when we come in here every day and put together these programs and work hard. I start every day at noon, even though I don't come on until 3 o'clock preparing, and we go all the way to 7 o'clock. 4 hours of broadcasting is a lot to prepare for. And it's just good to know that it's appreciated.
Yeah.
And so I want you to know that all the people, I didn't have a lot of time to talk. When you're running to the bathroom during a commercial break, you don't have a time to get involved in a long conversation, and everybody wants to have a long conversation, So I had to just sort of like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm running. I got to get back. But I want you to know, it's not that I don't want to talk to you. It's just that we have certain things to do in a very short window of time sometimes. But everybody was so gracious and lovely and nice. And it was just a great, and boy, I had some good pizza last night.
I saw you chowing down.
Yeah, you got the full effect of that, didn't you?
Shoveling it in during that commercial break.
You have to eat quick.
That's right.
One of the things I learned in journalism is eat early, eat often.
Mm-hmm.
When I would be working in the White House unit and we'd be traveling all over the country, they would always, everywhere you'd go, there'd be food. They would shove more food at it than you can imagine. And it was all pretty, and I'm sort of one of those guys, it looks pretty good. I've got to try a little of that. And I'm never going to pass up a meal.
Oh, yeah.
And boy, I tell you what, when I was on the White House unit, I gained a lot of weight. I had to really go on a diet because I was packing on the pounds. But you eat early and you eat often because you never know when you're going to get into that stretch where you're on deadline. You just don't have time to eat. So I learned the third rule of it: eat early, eat often, eat quickly.
Yep.
Yeah, so
right.
You can get right back to work. So I shoveled it in, but it was food was good. The company was fantastic, and again, I'm just in love with our audience. They're just so good to us, so good to us. I want you to know that I never take it for granted, and I never will. I never will. It's 30 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. You know, if you're grilling out or you're doing some tailgating during this football season and you're a fan of Legend Steakhouse, you can enjoy some of the same flavors you get at the restaurant right on your very own grill. Take a walk down your local grocery stores, places like Walmart, Kroger, and look for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. Now, see, Johnny Fleeman's Marinade proprietary blend will give your steaks, chicken, or chops a flavor that will hit a home run with family and friends. It's low in sodium, about a third of other brands, and you don't have to worry about over-marinating. And when it comes to his honey mustard salad dressing, well, you can use it as a salad dressing, obviously, or a dipping sauce for your favorite chicken fingers, fresh cut veggies, or chips. It's a recipe used in his restaurant for over 35 years. If your favorite grocer is not stocking Johnny Fleeman products, ask them to do so. For more information, go to johnnyfleeman.com. And it goes absolutely without saying that for those times when you want someone else to do the cooking, they'll always be glad to see you at your nearest Legend Steakhouse for lunch or for dinner.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
$37 past the hour. We're headed all the way up to the 7 o'clock, and then we will turn it over to Mark Levin. He will carry on, Mark Levin, and he'll have plenty to say, a lot to digest after last night, I am certain. You know, much has been said about whether or not, the pollsters know anything. I look at the pollsters and I take that information with a grain of salt, and I think there's a lot to be gained, especially from the internals of polls. And look, people have different opinions about this, but I found, in Washington, I sat down with some of these guys. I got to know them, and I find them to be honorable men and women who do this, who want to get the answers right. Other people, just don't have any faith in the polls, and I get that. That's all good and fine. But I thought I would just go back through my archives. I save every soundbite that I play on this particular station, and I went back to find some of the things that have been said by pollsters and political strategists from the Washington Beltway area, and I think some of these guys really got it right. So here are just a few pulled samples of people who were in that particular business, who I think got the right take on things. Starting with Mark Penn. He's a Democrat pollster, but a guy that I've always thought was a pretty smart guy, and a guy who I thought followed the data and drew conclusions from it. It was just yesterday that we heard Mark Penn say this.
And really, I think the biggest change, which gives Democrats a pause, is in the early vote. In the early vote, there was a 1 million vote lead last time, and that's been cut down to 400,000 votes. So that's 600,000 votes that have to show up in the Democratic column on Election Day. That is a tall order. That's why I think you've seen, concern on the Democrats' part about Pennsylvania.
And that's exactly what happened. He was exactly right on that point. Ding, ding, ding. So we did give him a big old. All right, Mark Penn. Doug Schoen, he said that he thought that the blue wall would be crumbling. This was days ago.
I think what we're seeing is the working class vote is moving in the direction of Trump. Non-college educated voters, blue-collar men are all moving in Trump's direction. Some movement is among minorities in Wisconsin, African Americans, to Trump. Basically, the blue wall in Wisconsin and Michigan is eroding as the South, defined as Georgia, North Carolina, Southwest Arizona, appear to be trending Trump. We're looking now at 5 states, 5 swing states that are potentially Trump's. And if Pennsylvania goes, the election is over. All the trends are showing the same movement.
Now, and he was absolutely correct. In fact, all 3 of the Rust Belt states, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, fell for Trump in a major way. Alex Castellanos, a conservative strategist, he was saying this as we were getting close to the election.
Somebody is missing something. What I think they're missing is a massive shift in voter registration underneath all of this. 31 states have voter registration by party. 30 of them in the past 4 years have seen movement toward Republicans. Miami-Dade County is now voting more Republican. Iowa was +1 Republican. It's now +10. And yet we're getting these surveys that I think are off base. Somewhere, somebody is missing something. I think I'm not going to call it a wave, but I think there's a wavelet out there.
I think he could have called it a wave and he would have been right, but at least his instincts were good. I mean, many other people were calling it, too close to call, TCTC, that it was going to be really up against it. I felt going into it, listening to some of the people I really admire who take the data and analyze the data and then apply their experience to it. And that's what you really do in this particular industry. I mean, you can get hung up on numbers, and the numbers can be wrong. I mean, I'm looking at these polls. Again, they underestimated Trump, I think, by a significant amount. But they got the trends right. They were absolutely correct about the trends, so we'll give him a big go. All right, now, David Axelrod had identified the moment. Now, he's a strategist, and again, he's a Democrat, but I mean, he's a strategist, and I think he identified the moment, the very moment where things started to go wrong for Kamala Harris.
One of the things that says to me that she hasn't entirely internalized the strategic elements of the campaign and where it's at is the answer on the View about what she would do differently.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
There are many, many ways she could have answered that question without looking like she was running away from Biden. But the answer she gave was uniquely bad.
It was bad. And I think people realized if you're not going to do anything different, then why in the world am I even considering you as my candidate? I think it was one of the turning points in the campaign. So I'll give him I think he got it right. According to the information that came from the folks over at Barrett Media, Fox News crushed it last night. They got nearly 10 million people watching. If you were to add CNN, it was 4.7. Add in MSNBC to that. CNN and MSNBC had 5.5. I don't think they even matched what Fox had on its own right. Pretty interesting stuff. And ABC was the leading traditional network with only 5.7 million people. The traditional networks are really not what they used to be. I was watching Fox News last night, and after things started to break, and it got a little tense with Juan Williams.
Would a white male have done better? Obviously, Trump has defeated 2 women and now a black woman. So there's all of these questions. But to my mind, it seems to me incredible that a guy who led a insurrection against the United States government is potentially now, like a phoenix, going back into the Oval Office. It's unbelievable.
Well, you have to consider the fact, Juan, that a lot of people didn't think that was an insurrection. They thought it was a riot, but not an insurrection. And had they thought there was really an insurrection, I don't think he could have won.
Well, I don't know.
The exaggerations about that day.
Well, I'm not exaggerating.
About the alleged threat to democracy is a piece of what happened tonight is.
Well,
what you need to know is that Brit Hume and Juan Williams are friends, and their relationship goes back many years.
I don't think so. I think, again, I'm giving you my perspective.
And I'm giving you mine.
Right, so I listen to you as my friend. But I'm going to tell you what I saw was not only a right in terms of the violence, but a direct action intended to stop certification of a presidential election.
Understood. And we've talked a lot about it.
That's why I said that.
Brad Baer stepping in.
Very clearly. I'm not trying to hype anything.
The campaign ran a lot of ads about it, talked a lot about it, and more, half the country now, Juan, is going to say, that is not what I care about. I care about my economy. I care about immigration.
No, see, that's where we differ. I'm not sold on this idea that, it was the cost of eggs. I worry that it was, I'm not voting for this woman, or I'm not voting for this black woman.
No, that's not what we see in our data.
Well, here's the thing. Where do you see that? Because a moment ago, Darren was out here and he said, in fact, not only did the bro strategy work, and the bro strategy largely worked along the lines of white men, but that the bro strategy also had some impact in terms of Latino and black men who came along and gave higher percentages.
All right, Carl, weigh in.
I just want to make one more point with
Martha McCallum.
I spoke to Jack Brewer this week, and here's what he said if Trump wins. He said he won because black men felt that Democrats and elites put immigrants before us. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts on that?
I just think that that's possible. I don't know that for a fact. I think there are tensions between racial groups, and people might feel that. Obviously, you can exploit those tensions, and you can exacerbate them to the point where you can politically benefit from it. Do I think that's the reason he won? No. I think the reason he won is you look at that bro strategy and the white male turnout and white grievance politics that he has used to great success in this country.
Carl,
I think he's trailing his prior 2020 numbers with whites.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? I think that the
Hispanics and black males.
Yeah.
It's not sufficient to make up. It's not sufficient to have this kind of night.
Look, I just think it is extremely odd to suggest that black men are somehow prejudiced because they vote for a white candidate who says, I want to make certain that everybody has an opportunity to succeed in our great economy. I want you to be more prosperous, and I will do things that will make it possible for you to make a better life. That is an appeal to their best instincts. He did not go out and say, vote for me because I'm not a woman. Don't go vote for me because I'm a white man. That would not have attracted those votes. They got attracted to him because they thought he was a strong, effective leader, and they thought he would do something about the issues they cared the most about, which is an economy in which they think they get the short stick, inflation, which has decimated their purchasing power, and illegal immigration, which has affected their communities deeply. And to suggest that somehow black men are racist because they supported a white man is just too far, Juan.
You're distorting my comments. But let me just say to you,
I followed your comment to its logical conclusion.
Carl, hold on. We're not saying most black men did not vote for Donald Trump. So I never said anything like that. That's just not true.
You suggested it's only
I'm saying to you, I'm saying to you that in terms of this bro strategy for white males, the whole notion of I'm bad, I talk about women in the most disparaging way. There's some men who just said, you know what, I want to be in on that. I want to be a badass guy. And I think they like Trump's image and the caricature he portrays.
I think they supported him in spite of that, not because of it.
Well, I mean, that was, one of the more fiery conversations I heard on Fox News last night. And, I know Juan Williams a little. I hung around him at one of my days at Fox, and I've always liked Juan on a personal level. I don't agree with him on a lot of this, and I think he's off base on this. But I guess that I bring this to your attention because, look, there were spirited discussions. We've had a hell of a campaign. We've beaten the crap out of each other, and tender feelings are everywhere. And, look, the people have spoken, and we have won, and it's a huge turnaround. And I think, we on our side of the equation, honestly, it's great news for us. And going forward, I think we need to understand that we need to be gracious in victory because feelings are tender in this country. And let's just go easy, huh? I think it'd be a good thing. 50 minutes now, past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Hey, listen, did you know you're funding America's future? And it's not the future that you want for your kids. Most major credit card companies funnel millions to liberal causes and candidates hoping you don't notice. Take a stand and get the woke out of your wallet. Coin is the conservative's credit card. You earn cash back while advancing a conservative future. Apply now at coin.com, COIGN.com. The terms apply. Go to coin.com/disclosures for full details.